Good afternoon, my name is Artem Lysohor, and I want to thank everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center, Ukrinform today. It's day 478 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian occupiers, and I will start with listing of the briefings planned for today. At 1 o'clock we will be talking about the mitigation of the consequences of detonation of the dam of Kakhovka HPP, and joining us in the studio will be Alexander Khorunzhy, press officer of the State Emergency Service. At 2 o'clock we will be talking about financial system of Ukraine during war, and joining us online will be Vasyl Furman, deputy chairman of National Bank of Ukraine board. And right now we will be talking about the situation in Luhansk region. Joining us online is Artem Lysohor, the military governor of Luhansk region. Good afternoon, Mr. Artem. Good afternoon. Mr. Artem, I would like to start with asking you about the current situation in Luhansk region. What is it like? What is the humanitarian situation in that part of the region that is under Ukrainian control, and what's going on in the temporarily occupied part of it? The enemy does not cease its attempt of the attacks, including using land forces, cannon artillery systems, rocket artillery systems. The enemy also uses aviation to target our settlements. They continue shelling several deoccupied settlements where some of our residents still remain. Within the last couple of days, people still refuse to evacuate, but with intensification of the attacks, the situation may change. We have a representative right there, and just yesterday we were working in coordination with Ukrinform to deliver the pension payments for those people because they were not getting them since February. We also deliver water and food rations in coordination with national police and the armed forces in Luhansk region. The enemy does not leave its offensive attempts, which are repelled by our guys. Sometimes we intercept the initiative even, but it's mostly up to the Ministry of Defense to comment the situation. But I would say that the situation is generally stable. We see the enemy along the forward edge of the battle area. We see their movements. Our armed forces inflict significant losses on them, which makes me personally very happy. I mean, these results. Mr. Artem, what's your estimate of the number of people who remain in the territory of Luhansk region under Ukrainian control, and are there children among them? Well, we have 130 people remaining in the area. Those are the people living mostly in the forward edge of the battle area and in the adjacent areas. You know, the territory of Luhansk region has only 14 villages. Still some people remain there, and just last week we were talking to them. Still majority of them doesn't want to leave. Majority of them are the pensioners. They hold on to their homeland, hold on to their land plots, but we still continue delivering all the necessary aid and providing all necessary support to them. There are no children among those people. The last children were evacuated 3 months ago. So yes, there are no children over there, and no children are planned to be incoming. Mr. Artem, talking about the situation in the temporarily occupied part of the territory, we see some explosions happening there. Well, the explosions started happening from the month of April. The enemy understands what's going on. They are preparing for our counteroffensive. In some spots there is just regular movement of our forces. Created panic in the ranks of the enemy, but yes, the enemy suffers losses. We discovered a lot of new places for provision of medical aid to the enemy. There were numerous hospitals deployed, and now the enemy only gets the first medical aid, and then they are forced to go back in the ranks of the army, we found out about the 2 teams of mobile crematoriums in the territory occupied by the enemy. What is your evaluation of the activities of the resistance movement in Luhansk region? Well, look, the resistance movement is not under our influence, but we understand their work. We've seen all their activities on their Russia Day, and it's good so that the enemy understands that the Ukrainian people are numerous and the enemy will not be left alone even in the territories temporarily occupied by them. We know that now in the recently deoccupied territories there are activities deployed related to documentation of the collaborationists. So do you have any coordination with the law enforcement agencies in Luhansk region? Do you exchange information? Do you help the law enforcement agencies in collecting such type of information? Well, obviously we work in full coordination. We have all the facts of the state employees who switched sides. We continue getting information from the law enforcement agencies, including about the state employees, state officials, and just regular people who switch sides. And we hand over that information to the law enforcement agencies who make the decisions in regard of such citizens according to the law in effect. We know that the occupiers were forcing our people to receive Russian passports. To what extent is this process still underway, and to what extent is it efficient in Luhansk region? Well, look, they created even the mobile teams for passportization, but they don't have enough bravery, and is the indicator of the efficient work of our enemy, or I'm sorry, of our guys. So they try to passportize Ukrainian population in the occupied territories to the full extent. They blackmail, they force the people to accept the Russian citizenship. This Russian leaflet, they are threatening not to provide the medical aid to the people and to their families. They threaten to mobilize the men. And we were reiterating it multiple times regarding the children. The children were not admitted for final examination upon graduation from 11th grade without obtaining the Russian passport. Thank you very much for this information. We have some questions on the floor. Good afternoon, Olga Apanasenko, Ukrinform. Sir, do you have any information about the number of people who left the temporarily occupied territory of Luhansk region, who evacuated from there through Russia, through the third countries, and came back to Ukraine eventually? We cannot get this information to the full extent, but all of the Ukrainian citizens who enter the territory of Ukraine through the third countries, we get connected with them, all of our information sources. There are postings in the social media. For example, their relatives exchange it, they exchange this information with the law enforcement agencies, so that we keep account of those who come back, because the screening measures that are deployed are really necessary. For example, last week 4 citizens from our region came back to Ukraine. They were provided the full necessary aid with the help with the re-registration. One person was helped with the bulletins, so the work is in progress all the time. Thank you very much for this broadcast. Thank you very much for the information. I'm reminding you, joining us was Artem Lysohor, the military governor of Luhansk region, and our next briefing is at 1300, and we will be talking about the mitigation of consequences of detonation of the dam of Kakhovka HPP. So stay tuned, work together for our victory. Thank our armed forces, and glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes.